Every person that's ever been successful at anything has had to take the attitude of life ain't fair, win anyway. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. The war cry in our country has been dysfunction for the last 30 years. People wear their dysfunctions like badges of honor in our country. I'm here to tell you that there is not a person that hasn't been treated unfairly at some time in their life. This idea of dysfunction really takes us away from function, which is what we're about. We need to take responsibility for where we are in our life. Be accountable for the things that are happening to us right now. Stop dwelling on dysfunction. Stop dwelling on the effects of things that have happened to you in the past. Today is the day that you need to start building your life. I can illustrate this by telling a story about my son Michael. Me and my wife adopted children. We adopted my son Michael when he was 8 years old. Michael is African American and had been abused in every form and fashion that you can imagine. I can't even talk about some of it without going into tears. But suffice it to say that it was massive and invasive abuse. His mother stuck straight pins in his head to discipline him. And even today, as a grown man, he has pieces of those pins lodged in his skull. My son came to us as 8 years old, and he would explain to us in clinical terms why he did the things that he did. Why he was so dysfunctional. I would discipline him or reprimand him, and immediately he would explain, well, you can't expect more of me, Dad. This is what happened to me. And I would explain to him, son, that was then. This is now. See, I'm going to stick with you. Me and your mama, we're going to love you and we're going to help you to stand up. That was then. This is now. Well, one of the dysfunctions he came to us with is he always wanted to be a Marine. I was in the Air Force 25 years, so naturally I wanted him to be in the Air Force, but he was stuck with the Marine Corps. Okay, we'll deal with that. The first night he was with us, he saw the ritual that me and my children went through before we went to bed. You see, we had a ritual when I was growing up. My kids got body slams and arm wrestling. That was to let them know it's time to go to bed now. Dad's going to arm wrestle you and then body slam you. And I'd arm wrestle them, slam them into the bed and say, go to sleep. They were satisfied. Sometimes I would try to put them in bed without that, and they'd say, Dad, time for our body slam. Well, Michael watching this the first day that he was with us, and even my little girls, I didn't let my children win at anything. I beat them at everything. Even the little girls, I would slam their little hand into the table and say, your daddy beat you. You know why he beat you? Because he's bigger than you and stronger than you. The only way you're going to beat him is get big and strong like him. Ha! And they would laugh. And my son Michael, newly in the family, looked at this curiously, and he walked up to me and he says, I can beat you, he said, at 8 years old. I said, all right, you bad? You think you can beat me? Come on. Well, my wife said, don't do this with him. He doesn't understand what's going on here, and you know his past. He's been abused, and this is not good for him. And I said, Mama, you do Mama stuff. This is Daddy stuff. And so I hooked up with him, and I said, you ready? He said, yes. And so I slammed his little hand to the table, and I said, I beat you. You know I beat you? Because I'm bigger than you and stronger than you. The only way you're going to beat me is get big and strong like me. Ha! And he said something. You know, children can speak sometimes without saying anything. He said, what that means is, I'll be back. And so at 12 years old, I slammed his fist into the table. At 14, slam. 16, slam. 18, slam. Well, he finally graduated high school, and I didn't know if I'd reached him or not. But he was going into the Marine Corps in June. Graduated at the end of May, going into the Marine Corps in June. And I got him on the porch and I said, son, if you don't stop using your dysfunctions as crutches, there's a guy in a funny looking hat out there that's going to ruin your day. He said, Dad, you don't know nothing about the Marine Corps. You were in the Air Force. And oh, by the way, he never learned to swim. And I tried to explain to him, if you're going to be a Marine, you're going to have to learn to swim. He would explain to me, Dad, us black people, we don't swim. We carry too much muscle and it messes our hair up. Go on with your bad self. Look up the word Marine, though, son. I think it has something to do with water. Dad, you don't know nothing about the Marine Corps. You were in the Air Force. So off he went into the Marine Corps. I didn't hear from him for several months. Then I get a call, and he's crying. He says, Dad, I took a swim test today, and I failed the test. I get to take it again tomorrow, but if I don't pass it, I can't be a Marine. Dad, they put a full backpack on you and a full uniform and a rifle and a helmet, boots. I don't know how anybody swims in that. And I sink to the bottom. I feel like I'm dying. I said, son, I don't know how to advise you except to say this. If you don't make it, you're still my boy. I'm proud of you. You know how many people don't even try to be a Marine, and you're trying as hard as you can. I love you, son. And I advise you to talk to the one that built you, that knows you better than anybody else, and thank him for helping you pass this test. Okay, Dad. I love you. I said, I love you too, son. And I hung the phone up. I didn't sleep all night. Early the next morning, the phone rang, and it was my son, Michael. And he's crying. And I thought to myself, he didn't make it. And then in between the tears, he yelled, I did it, Daddy. I did it. It wasn't pretty, but I made it. I'm going to be a Marine. Well, I rejoiced with him, and we hung up the phone. And in a few weeks, he was home in that green uniform, and the California sun had turned the boy black. His shoulders were 2 inches wider. The seams on his shirt disappeared because his arms had expanded so much. He had that green uniform on, and he came in the house and made eye contact with me. And he went over to the table. He put his arm up on the table and looked at me. Now, I beat him at everything we've done. I've been intimidating him all his life. And now he's intimidating me. At this point, I got no choice except to talk trash. Oh, you're a Marine now? You think you're bad? You think you can beat the old man? Daddy, I'm not talking. I'm wrestling. And I hooked up with him and began to push with everything I had to push with. And he held firm. And eventually he pulled and pushed my hand over into the tabletop. And he jumped up and screamed, Daddy, I beat you. You know I beat you because I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. Only way you're going to beat me is get big and strong like me. Ha! Ha! And then he grabbed me and embraced me and he said, Daddy, I love you so much. I told you that story to tell you this. Everybody has dysfunction in their life. But everybody has the responsibility to fight for success and accept responsibility for success in their own life. Fight.